born as Robert Woods, but known today as Bobby. I'm originally an Oangra, born and bred, grew up down south of West Australia. Came down here in 1964 August, took up a 2-year agriculture course at the Wongutha Training Farm at the time, known as CAPS today. Did the basics in agriculture training and basics in mechanics and pretty well anything that you needed to know with farming. I went from there to work experience in a dairy farm in Katanning. After that I came back to Esperance. I lived in a local boys' hostel here. A lot of Indigenous kids from Central Deserts all over lived in this boys' hostel, and the start of Esperance began back in the early 60s, and a lot of Indigenous from throughout West Australia were involved with the upbringing and development of farming in the district. Originally I had some issues with domestics, and I had a daughter that worked in the Warburton community as a nurse. She said, "Dad, look, rather than just go for all your pain and suffering at the moment, just come up here and chill out." And the gift with that was a lot of the Indigenous brothers that I got to know in the boys' hostel there were Warburton community members, and it was like just reuniting with family, forget the differences I had, and then I sort of took up with part-time work with the local community. I was the head mechanic there, did part-time training, was a bail faculty for juveniles, and I was privileged to teach the kids the basics in mechanics, plant operating and dismantle of motors and set them up and start them up again. Basically did it for the love of your kids, because you break down on the side of the road, have some rough idea on what the problem is, and try and rectify it yourself, you know. So these are little things that the kids need to learn. One or two of the clientele that you get take up with what you taught them, and many a time I've seen some of the kids that were broken down on the side of the road, actually under this car and repairing these cars on the side of the road between Leonora and Laverton. Way out in the middle of the sticks, but they basically got the car up and running again because of the basics in mechanics. So even Robert, my son, were one of the main workers here at this community, and I taught him the basics in loader operation and fitting a hopper. He knows basically the pre-start and basic safety issues with plant operating. Along with that, all my girls have got their truck licence, been a road train driver myself. I've got one granddaughter that's got her eye on getting her MC, which is a big step in the department. I did plant operating with the local shire here for 6-7 years. Got a street named after me for the 5 years attributed to my services rendered. Today I'm honoured we have our Aboriginal community on that street. I was approached to help clear the back of the property here, which we have. We've been privileged with a little front end loader down from the Central Deserts. It hasn't specifically come for this particular job, but we've worked it in with one community to another. It's just a light vehicle, just enough to do the little fiddling around work at the back here. And basically speaking, yeah, I'm over the moon about it actually. So is everybody else. I'm going on 72 July. So while the batteries are still up on me, you know, I want to sort of get around what I can, you know. My little great-grannies are the incentive to life now, you know, and the grandkids. I suppose it's the upbringing with the children's home, and being blessed that you've got kids of your own, you can teach them the do's and don'ts in life. I was gifted as a child, actually. I was the only privileged child out of 44 boys in this children's home. I started off driving a little 35 Fergie doing orchards, and because it was off to Wongutha for you back in 1964, we've got ourselves a tractor driver, he can go to Wongutha. It's thanks to Wongutha Caps out there today. You know, I take my hat off to them and many other students that sort of learnt the basics and the right and wrongs with life today. I get the joy out of driving past this community, for instance, and look down that driveway and you see that backyard, just like you could land a plane on it now. Not quite that good, but you get a sense of pride in it, you know. I mean, I've given the incentive to the kids, well, you can do that if you learn to, you know, operate the machine yourself.